Hey there, welcome to Cooking with Kenny G. Now today's going to be a very exciting day for me and hopefully for you too. This is going to be my first complete meal that I'm doing for you. So this is going to be a dinner meal. I'm going to run you through all the steps. You're going to impress your guests and your friends with what we're doing. A grilled salmon with peppered strawberries. That's going to be on a bed of carrot puree with a lemon herb risotto with spinach in it and some asparagus. So sounds like a mouthful. It's not going to be a whole lot. It's going to take you about 20 minutes to do this from start to finish. I'm going to run you through the steps. Obviously, I'm going to shorten it down a little bit. You don't want to watch 20 minutes of cooking. All right, so pitter patter, let's get at her. I can't reach it, too far away. Quickly run through the equipment that you're going to need. A little pot with a lid like that, that's for cooking the carrots. Got a frying pan here. It's about a 9-inch frying pan. That's for doing the risotto. Now, what I'm going to be doing here is just for one person, but you can just multiply it by 2 or 4, however many you're doing. And another frying pan here for the asparagus and also the barbecue or the grill, as my friends down south call it. Fish spatula. Now I've got the main component of it is a salmon. This is a wild sockeye salmon. You can use whatever salmon that you want. This one's about 7 ounces, 200 grams. 220 grams. For the carrot puree, I've got carrots, got some shallots and garlic, and I've got some caraway seeds. Now that's optional if you don't like caraway. I personally love caraway, and I find in carrots, it lends itself really well. Now for the salmon, the finishing part, I got these beautiful strawberries, and I've hulled them, washed them, cut them up. I've got some cracked peppercorns here. Now this is a black, red, and a green peppercorn. Just take a small frying pan, and use the edge of the frying pan and just press down on those peppercorns and crack them open. You don't want to crush them too much. Just get them cracked so they still have a lot of flavor. I've got asparagus. Now a little tip with the asparagus here. I'm going to maximize what we can get out of the asparagus. So rather than cutting it here like a lot of people do, I'm going to cut off that really woody part at the bottom. These have been washed, by the way. And just take your peeler, little tea peeler, and peel a little more than half of the asparagus. Now what that does is it takes off that tough peeling that's down at the bottom, so you're gonna get way more yield out of your asparagus. Asparagus is expensive, we're saving money, and it looks really good too. Just like that, look at that, beautiful. I've got a little bit of orange juice with the orange zest in it, shallots, and of course butter. It's gonna have a lot of butter in this recipe, don't worry. And everything all together. And for the risotto, I've got half a cup of risotto here. Now I'm gonna use water in this one. You can use stock if you want, but I find that if you're gonna use a fish stock, it might make it a little too fishy. So I'm going with water and a bunch of seasoning. I've got the herbs in there. I've got the butter in there. We're gonna finish it with 50 grams of grated Parmesan. Now this is fresh Reggiano Parmesan. I've got the baby spinach that I've cut up into a chiffonade. There's a term for you there, which just means thin strips. I have my chopped fresh herbs here. Now I've got in there parsley, fresh basil, there's some lemon thyme in there. I have some fresh dill. I think that's all I put in that. I've also got some lemon zest and the lemon juice. And of course, lots of butter. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do is season up the salmon here because I want a little bit of that salt flavor to permeate into it. And then while I do the long cook items, the carrots and the risotto, this is just gonna marinate and then the last 4 or 5 minutes on the grill. Just a little kosher salt on there. That's all we're gonna do. I'm not gonna put any pepper on it because it's getting peppered strawberries. That's it for the salmon. Now let's start with the carrot and the risotto. First thing we're gonna get going is the carrot puree. Now the reason I'm doing carrot puree and not cooked carrots is I really like the way that it looks on the plate, and the actual texture in it is really good too. Believe it or not, it's not baby food. This is high class baby food maybe, but it looks good. You'll see on the presentation. So you can use about a tablespoon of butter. That's the cube butter that I have there. You can let that melt down a little bit. Might as well heat up your risotto pan over here too. Just medium heat for that. Gonna melt that down. All right, butter's hot. I'm just throwing the shallots and the garlic. Saute that slightly. Half of a bay leaf in there. Just gonna bring out some of those flavors in the shallots and the garlic. Add those carrots in there. Saute those around a little bit. Lost one. And then I'm gonna put in the caraway seeds. Again, completely optional, but I love caraway in there. I'm gonna put a little bit of water in there, just enough to cover the carrots, and a little bit of salt, kosher salt, a couple turns, and a little bit of pepper in there. Gonna adjust the seasoning afterwards. Let's get the lid on that. Turn that down a little bit. I'm gonna let that cook away until the carrots are soft. It's gonna be about the same time as the risotto. The carrots are cooking. I've got the pan heating up now for the risotto. So first thing I'm gonna do is put in some butter. All right, lots of butter. You can never have enough butter when you're cooking risotto. Well, that's what I say anyway. Pan's nice and hot. Got about 4 tablespoons of butter in there, so I'm gonna saute the shallots and the garlic first. Just release a little bit of those strong flavors. Now, why do I cook risotto? For my fish, rather than just a regular steam converted rice, I really love the creaminess of the risotto. It adds a real richness to the dish. And that's also when you're doing a presentation too, and you put the risotto on the plate, it holds together really nice, so it makes your presentation really beautiful. Now the risotto is a little bit longer to make. You don't just start your rice cooker and then walk away from it, but I tell you, it's not that hard to do, and the results are unbelievable. So I sauteed the garlic and the shallots a little bit, like I say, just to release a little bit of those strong flavors in there. And then we're gonna put in our half cup of risotto, or arborio rice. Now I'm just gonna saute it a little bit in that butter and make sure it's covered nicely. Now the heat there is about medium, so it's not too hot. I'm not making popcorn rice here. I just wanna saute it a little bit, add a little bit of that butter and a little bit of that flavor into the risotto. All right, there we go. Now I'm gonna let that saute for a few minutes, stay with it. You don't wanna brown the butter, you just want a nice sauteed rice, and then we're gonna start adding the liquids in shortly. I almost want the risotto to be a little bit translucent on the edges. You can see that it's starting, well, you can't see, you're kind of far away, but as I'm looking at it, it's getting a little bit more translucent. It's looking good. Now it's gonna be time to add in the liquid. That looks like about what I want. I'm gonna put in some white wine. Call 150 mils or 1/4 cup. Check on those carrots, turn them down to a simmer if they're boiling away. Perfect. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cook this and let some of that liquid evaporate, and then I'm gonna add in some more liquid to it. Let it evaporate down, more, evaporate. So you gotta stay with it in that sense, and I'll show you along the way each step. I'm gonna add my liquid now. So you wanna put in about that much that you cover the rice. Turn it down to a simmer. At this point, if you want, you can walk away from it, but don't go too far. I'm gonna go and turn the barbecue on now, so that's ready for the salmon when it's time to put it on. Gonna check on those carrots. Yeah, they're looking good. Turn them down a little bit more so they don't boil away. If you notice that it's reducing down too much, just add a little bit more liquid in there. The risotto's coming along nice. Stir it every once in a while. Let that liquid evaporate, and then you're gonna add more liquid into it. Risotto's looking good. A little salt and pepper in there now. Want to infuse some of that flavor into the risotto. Okay, you can see there now, hopefully you can, that the liquid's reducing out of it. I'm gonna add some more liquid in. Again, just gonna cover the rice. Continue the process. Now what we're looking for is an al dente, or a little bit of a bite on the risotto. It's gonna be a little while until that happens. Say it's about 15 minutes. All right, we're about 5 minutes in now. Gonna add a little bit more liquid. I don't know if you can see or not, but the rice is starting to get a little bit bigger. It's absorbing a lot of that moisture now. No point in tasting it yet because it's not close. but I can tell by the look of that risotto that it's starting to absorb some of that moisture and getting towards the al dente stage that we want. Quick look at my carrots that I got going here. Take a sharp knife, check and see how soft they're getting. You want them really soft because we're going to puree them. If you don't make them nice and soft, it'll be lumpy, and you want a nice smooth mixture. Now, as you can see, that's starting to change texture a little bit. It's getting a lot thicker and a little more glutinous. That's what we want. You can add another round of liquid in there. Beautiful. Let that cook a bit longer. All right, we're about 15 minutes in. You can see the risotto has gotten a lot bigger. It's changed a lot. Now it looks a little bit liquid. That's okay because it's not quite finished yet. It's got a little bit of a bite to it, still a little bit crunchy. You don't want it super soft, so I'm just gonna reduce that down a little bit. And I'm gonna add in my fresh herbs now. So I want those flavors to be nice and bright, so I'm gonna add them in right at the end. I'm gonna put the lemon zest in there. About a tablespoon of fresh lemon juice. You can always add a little bit more at the end. I'm not gonna quite add the spinach in there yet, pretty soon though. Okay, let's add the spinach in now. I don't want to overcook the spinach, but I want to wilt it down so it mixes in with the risotto. The carrots are ready to go too. Oh, it smells great. I'm gonna get that salmon on the grill because it's a little bit of a distance away. Just gonna pull it off the fire. I'll be right back for that. Turn the carrots off too. All right, grill is nice and hot. A little bit of pan spray on the fish so it doesn't stick. Get it on the grill there. I'm just gonna cook it with that open. Gonna run back in the kitchen and get that risotto finished and the carrot puree finished. Gonna let that cook for a minute or so. Gonna come back, give it a little turn, get to it. Risotto looks good. I put the cheese in there. I put the butter in there. Add a little more cheese. I seasoned it slightly. It looks good. You can see that consistency. It still falls away a little bit. I like my risotto to be a little bit soft like that, so it just kind of flows. So turn that off. Carrots here, gonna move them out of the way. Show you what I do with those. Get the pan warming up for the asparagus. Just ran out here. Look at that. Just turn that a little bit, give it some marks. You can see down here, it's starting to cook slowly. I don't want to overcook my salmon. I'm just gonna flip it over, probably turn the barbecue off and then let it finish that way. Time for the carrots. Now I'm gonna use the immersion blender for this because I've only got 2 carrots in there. If you're using or doing a bigger batch, don't put the bay leaf in there though. Oh yeah, it looks perfect. You can give it a little taste now too. Tastes good. That's gonna stay warm. We'll just put it over there on the back of the stove. Get the salmon flipped over, start the asparagus. Salmon is looking perfect. You can see there it's cooked about halfway through. I'm just gonna turn the fire off now and let it sit there while I go finish the asparagus. That way the salmon, the way I like it cooked anyway, it'll be about a medium rare. All right, more butter. There you go. Tablespoon, let's call it that. Get the shallots in there. Gonna throw the asparagus in. A little bit of pepper. A little bit of salt. Risotto's gorgeous. Carrot puree is done. Salmon's done. Just gonna finish these up. And then we're gonna plate it up, show you what a restaurant meal looks like. Now time to put the orange juice in there. I know it seems like there's a lot of flavors in there, but all these flavors really go well together. And orange and asparagus, that's a marriage made in heaven. It's 2 minutes of cooking. Now I like it to be nice and vibrant and green. Still got a little bit of crunch in there. Gonna turn that off and we're gonna plate up. Salmon's ready. Let's get after it. Last component of the meal. A little bit more butter in there. Gonna throw in the strawberries. Fresh strawberries. Gonna put those peppercorns in there. Now I don't wanna cook these too much, just wanna heat them up. Little splash of white wine in there for flavor. Looking beautiful. I'm gonna grab the salmon, bring it off the barbecue, and we're gonna plate this up. Time for the restaurant presentation. Now this is what's gonna put it over the top. All right, I'm gonna put my carrot puree down there. Gonna give that a little bit of a smoosh. That's a culinary term. That's gonna be the base. Now always remember, when you're doing a plating, you wanna make it look super attractive too. All right, let's put that risotto on there. That looks gorgeous. Now those asparagus spears that we did, goes on there. A little bit of that OJ, salmon on top of that. Looking pretty professional. Now I can spoon those strawberries on top. Oh yeah. I know it seems strange, but peppered strawberries on salmon. Salmon goes with a lot of flavors, and you want to restaurant it up a little bit. You can put a little bit of a splash around there, maybe a little bit of olive oil. Look at that. That is gorgeous. What do you think? That meal looks absolutely gorgeous. All right, we're finished now. I hope you enjoyed our first full meal together that we did. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something from this. So if you did, thumbs up, comments down below. I really hope that you make this dish. It is absolutely fantastic. Took us about 25-30 minutes from start to finish. Make sure you get all your prep done, get that dish done, you're good to go. Your guests will be impressed. Thanks very much for watching.